But if you think about it, the way that our economy is going, we're going to have AI that's going to take over lots of rote tasks. And the way that people are going to find their way in the new economy is going to be through creativity and creation. And so if kids want to be a YouTuber, that requires creativity and creation, and maybe it's not the worst thing to have them have that interest. And so on your point about, how do you get them involved in the creation versus the consumption? I'm totally on board. But I guess we can have our opinions. But again, it's so great that Rona is here, because Rona, I want to go to you and you can tell us whether we're right or wrong.
I just want to add a slightly different dimension, because I'm not sure. I agree, actually, that creation is very different than passive consumption. And Jinjen knows my feelings about the creation being exclusively focused on let's make money, as opposed to creation to let's make art or let's make a difference.
Oh, no, that's that's what I mean too.
I understand.
No.
I understand.
It's not just money.
I understand. The part that I think, the distinction that I think is perhaps as, if not more important, is isolation versus connection. If I am sitting alone watching YouTube, which is what most people do, it is not an activity that's done in a group. It's done solo. If my entire diet of interaction with other humans is on a small screen and not in the real world, then I'm not getting full social nutrition. And, Ginger talked about her sons have healthy appetites for connection. They're soccer player, or I don't remember the sports, but
hockey,
they're on
volleyball.
Hockey. Those are team
pianist.
sports where they're learning to relate to others, to collaborate, to manage conflict in real time, in the real world, with real faces. We know, the research is clear. As good as AI is, and I have such AI horror stories, and things that it's developed with, people with three hands. I once asked AI to give me a picture of students in a classroom engaged by raising their hands. And it looked like everyone was on a roller coaster because they had the students raise both arms.
They were really engaged.
They were doubly engaged. So
the AI fingers.
Right. AI is only as good as, our prompts are, at least at this point. I'm sure it will get smarter than us at some point. But I think that it is critical for us to think about, how do we expand our children's diet so that they aren't only consuming technological stuff. And the other piece is the purveyors of technology, many of them who make technology for young people, do not have young people's mental health or growth or learning as their bottom line. They have profits. So they create technology that is very much like gambling, that sets up the same behavioral consequences and addictive tendencies that gambling does, but it does it in brains, for young people with brains, where the frontal lobe, which is our most rational, decision-making, even-keeled part of our brain, is not developed in adolescence. It's not online yet. And we're putting addictive tools in their laps.
What happens when that part of the brain meets technology?
Well,
when that undeveloped part of the brain.
Yeah, what I find interesting is, first of all, without that frontal lobe, we're more impulsive. We think with our affect rather than logic. And we don't kind of put on the brakes. And therefore, I hear young people all the time say, who are very techno-savvy, but very world stupid. They say things like, well, nobody can track that I sent somebody 80 threatening text messages because I deleted them from my phone. Not understanding that anything that you do in an online space has a trail, in some cases, that will follow you forever. I've had young people, even when faced with concrete evidence that someone was pretending to be another person online, deny. It happened to me once. This is such an old story, but we had one computer in our home at the time. It was a desktop. It wasn't portable. And my son was doing his homework. He was a teenager at the time, a high school student. And I said, I need to quickly send an email. Can I just quickly send an email? I'm not going to sign you out. I'm not going to log on as me. I'll just send an email quickly. And while I'm sending an email, I get, in the old days of instant messages or pop-ups, whatever, I get one of those that says, Eitan, what's the answer to problem number 10? And I say, it's not Eitan, it's his mom. I'm using the computer for a minute. And I get another I am. Why are you ghosting me? Answer the question. You don't want to tell me the answer, that's fine, but don't tell me you're his mom. And I said, it really is his mom. They wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't believe it.
It wasn't me on the other end of that computer, was it?
I don't remember. Maybe it was.
I have so many horror stories like that during the pandemic. It's, I mean, what you're describing is very, very light, and to what's really actually happening with these young people online. That's very, very light.
Yes.
But are we getting to, so again, thinking about the way that we kicked off this discussion, are we getting to a place where we're talking a little bit about the right way to use this and the right way to build this for the users and for the parents, the kids who are maybe listening, and the builders here, which is that the more healthier use, I'll just put the point on it, the more healthier use is do something interactive, do something creative versus spend time on the YouTubes and the TikToks. And that might be something that sort of is surprising to parents, because I do think that oftentimes the way, and it's not surprising to see that YouTube is the #1 social media app, because oftentimes the way that parents think about technology is give kids YouTube and they view it as the least harmful possible technology.
No.
Ginger.
No,
yeah, go ahead.
No. I mean, I also want to mention too, we're talking about addictive technologies. There was a film, a documentary years ago called The Addiction Machine, and it was about the engineers and anthropologists and addiction, doctors that went into Vegas to figure out how to make the slot machines more addictive, literally. And they brought these people in, and there was one person that transformed the entire industry in Vegas and changed the way the machines were built and created an entirely new system that made Vegas an extraordinary amount of money. And those people that went into Vegas, I mean, they are in the tech companies. They are there and they know exactly what they're doing. And I think that what jumped out at me about the pandemic was I don't think they know what they had until the pandemic, when they saw they had a trapped community of people that couldn't get out. And then they saw all this money coming in and all this attention and this unrelentless sort of invasive situation happening where it actually transformed everything in those days. And I think, when I think about solutions, again, there needs to be conversations in schools that talk about critical thinking and how to create things and how to make art, how to write a book, how to read a book, how to have conversations, how to stand up and, present yourself in front of an audience and speak. There is, how about this? If we had cooking classes again, why not have cooking classes in school and set up a camera to teach someone how to actually present their cooking skills in front of a camera, and then they can put that on YouTube and present that as their final paper, quote unquote paper. I mean, there's ways to integrate these opportunities for entrepreneurship and learning and using the tools in a healthy way, but that also requires a shift in the education system in the United States. I mean, we have an education system that was, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a scholar like Rona, and I haven't been in technology as long as you have, Alex. You've worked for some of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Well, I haven't worked for them. I've reported on them, but
exactly.
I get your point.
Exactly. But, the process of education is based on World War II supply chain economics, which don't exist right now.